because I aced the cognitive test. I feel good about this. I feel like I can do this.
Perfect, right?
Yeah,
You were
yeah.
perfect.
I've got no
Man,
problem.
cow, dog, TV,
Yeah,
horse,
tree, horse. Yeah, I've got it
tree,
all.
horse,
Yeah,
whale,
I got everything.
zebra,
I'm on it.
TV.
I'll be fine. I'll be fine in that cognitive testing. I think it's more, the MRI. I'm not sure there's anything in there. I don't know. Really, I'm not. Sometimes you got to wonder, like, do they leave anything behind? Is anything in there? I don't know.
After the MRI,
After
you know
50
what's really
years,
funny
what I
is
was
this
thinking.
this MRI stuff, and we'll get to it today in the five stack. Welcome to the five stack, everybody. The five biggest stories of the day. We're a little early, as I said, because Zev's got a secret MRI on an unknown part of the body, but his brain's perfect, so it's not that. So we'll just leave you guessing. It's one of those preventative things that he gets 3 times a
None of
year.
this
That's
is true.
terrific,
None of what he's saying is true. There's no MRI, but anyhow, there you go.
right? This is how easy it is to lie to the public. It's
Yes, and
incredible.
also they don't care about whether I go for an MRI or not, but they do
Of course
care
they
about
do.
whether
People love you. People love you now.
Oh, I love them
People
too.
absolutely love you.
I love everybody. I love everybody. If they knew what was
No,
going
you
on in my
don't.
head.
Nobody loves everybody. That's such a lie.
I actually do kind of love everybody. I even love I write about villains all the time, and I write about people that are real scumbags, and I love them too.
Do you
Just
love
'cause they're
Donald Trump?
Do I love Donald Trump? I mean, I kind of
You love
enjoy his
Jeffrey Epstein?
character. I don't love the guy, but I enjoy his character. Like, I mean, he's full of life. Do I love
Do you love Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein?
Oof,
You love
it's
them?
hard. You're hard. Although I must say, for ingenuity and creativity, I think Epstein does pretty well on the creativity part, ingenuity. But do I love them? No, I don't love them. Let's ask that very tough question to somebody else. Hey,
Oh,
Jacob.
hi.
How's that for
Hey,
a
buddy. We're sorry. We're just talking about how Zev's lying about loving everybody. I'm like, there's no way you love everybody. I don't love everybody. Do you love everybody, Jacob? No, of course you don't.
There are a few exceptions.
Yeah, who? We're listening, by the way.
We're interrupting. By the way, we're interrupting.
I can't pretend.
Yeah, I can't. I can't pretend. I'm the worst at it. We're interrupting the World Cup draw right now. Just wanted to point that out. Yeah, I know. Are you watching this, Jacob? Are you watching this?
No, I'm not, because they talked about handing some prize to Donald Trump, and I couldn't.
He's all over this FIFA thing, isn't he? I mean, it makes you think that it's also crooked. It makes you think that the whole thing is just going to be fixed and rigged, and whatever the outcome is already been predetermined by somebody somewhere else. It doesn't feel like real.
Completely corrupted.
Yeah, it has been for a while.
The World Cup draw is completely corrupted too. You think?
Well, I don't think the draw is, but the
whole
Trump's
process,
mingling in the whole thing, and this whole story of handing him a prize, and it's.
Remember when he stole the cup?
It's not the way a World Cup should be. I mean,
what do you mean? What do you mean handing him a prize? What are you talking about? What did that just happen? Something just happened on stage?
Yeah. FIFA wanted to hand Trump a peace prize.
Oh, he loves this.
Can you believe it?
Are you serious?
Yeah, just to suck up to him.
Just to kiss his balls.
The daddy. It's worse than the daddy.
Oh, for fuck's sakes! And you're a big football guy. Like, what people, and if you've been paying attention, Jacob's son's a professional football player, like tier 1 pro in Denmark.
Wow.
And is he going to play for Team Denmark in the World Cup?
No, he won't be ready because he's only young. He's only just moved up from under 19s, and if he develops well, there is a chance in a few years.
Okay,
but
we'll see. Okay, but the beginning of and you're a big soccer guy, so for you to turn it off, your national intelligence hat overrode your soccer hat, your sense of duty and patriotism, and your moral inflexibility when it comes to doing the right thing. You had to put that hat on, and you said "fuck Trump." But this is a very different. This is a very different Trump because of a document that dropped today. You texted me, Jacob Carswell, everybody, go follow him, former Danish intelligence, UN Security Council member, just wrote a book that'll be out all about Trump, all about this kind of shit. And something happened today, and I wrote about it. Y'all can go read it, deanblundell.substack.com, put out a piece about Trump's national security strategy, which is basically a declaration of war. This is huge news. This is a declaration of war against democracy, against EU countries, against Europe, and it is one of the most racist fucking 33-page documents I have ever seen. Want your take on it before we get started, because You're in Europe. You're in Denmark. You're former national intelligence. You've read the piece. This is now one of the biggest stories in the world, which coincidentally dropped like minutes before the World Cup draw happened, where Donald Trump could be, partitioned as the peacemaker and partitioned as this world leader. But tell me a little bit about this national security strategy that just dropped, Jacob, if you can.
It's an absurd read, I have to say. Russia is no longer a threat, and it's up to the Europeans to make peace with Russia. And the real enemy is like the EU, and it's a blueprint for subversive influence. It's quite clear that that the EU is the enemy, and that Trump wants to promote radical right-wing nationalist parties in Europe, and that's what they call liberties.
Wow.
And the excuse for the NATO thing, which is only there on paper now, we can bury it for all intents and purposes, but it's still there as a formal thing. And the Trump administration says that it's unrestricted immigration in Europe that threatens NATO. There you go.
This is
share, by the way, if you want.
Yeah, this is absolutely stunning, and I'm going to summarize a little bit of it for you. Jacob, would welcome your thoughts on this. The strategy for America. This was basically written for people that don't believe in America and want to completely change America's tact. The documents announced that it will reset U.S. national security priorities. In practice, that means announcing out loud that the real enemies are not the authoritarian regimes launching illegal invasions, assassinating dissidents, or hacking elections. The real threat, according to Trump's brain trust in the regime now, democratic European fucking governments.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Europe, the people who show up, pay their taxes, fund NATO, allies that are there for, all these other different countries. I mean, the EU is one of the most incredible organizations that has ever existed, specifically in Europe. And the National Security Strategy, or NSS, accuses European countries, Jacob, to your point, of, quote, being undemocratic, unstable, and suppressing the opposition. And meanwhile, the document praises Russia's desire for peace more warmly than it praises Canada, Germany, France, or any other functioning democracy.
I have a little spy thing here. When I read it, my mindset was, I'm shaken, I'm stirred, but I'm not surprised. And that's the crazy thing, because I'm under no illusions as to what these guys are up to. But still, when you see it in writing, it's like, holy shit.
It's like the divorce papers between the United States and Europe after 80 years of being allies. And for him to now issue this security review or this new strategy that is a divorce really from everything we've known for the last 80 years that has kept the world free and peaceful for the most part. And also, to a large extent, working towards liberal values. Now he's saying all that is over. We're going to, put our lock and stock with Russia and continue down a very different path.
Yeah,
and one of the most. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah,
following this document, we'll see the Defense Posture Review, which talks about the presence of armed forces. And a lot of people are talking about withdrawing armed forces from Europe. But again, if Trump now with this strategy keep armed forces in place, are they here to protect democracy, which I highly doubt, having read this shit?
Or attacking?
Or are they here for subversive influence?
Right. It does begin to feel like that.
Well, one of the things and it's such a fucking great question, Jacob. They got 100,000 troops in Europe, right? The United States literally has 100,000 U.S. men and women from the armed forces in and around the EU. One of the things that he said in this document, his national security strategy, and the Europe sections are fucking shocking. Basically, it says, and I'm quoting from it: a large European majority wants peace, yet That desire is not translated into policy in large measure because of those governments' subversion of the democratic processes. This is absolute projection. It's like bizarro world. This is strategically important to the United States precisely because European states cannot reform themselves if they are trapped in political crisis. He then goes on to talk about how the political parties that he supports and America's new national strategy, foreign strategy supports, is AfD, Viktor Orban's party in Hungary. They named every far-right influenced, every Russian-funded party in every EU country, used Romania, getting rid of that Romanian president who was under, Russia's counsel and was funded by Russia, had multiple passports. They used that as an example of what countries shouldn't do.
Yep. And guess what? We actually had the warning already back in February when J.D. Vance gave that absolutely crazy speech down in the at the Munich Security Conference.
Yeah.
But this is it in writing, and it probably even has a twist that makes it even worse. So yeah.
He claims to be the president of peace here. He says the President Trump has cemented his legacy as the president of peace. And in addition to this remarkable success achieved during his first term with historic Abraham Accords, yada yada yada, this is the basis on which he wants to continue this really flawed policy or strategy. But he is at odds here with the U.S. Constitution, and he can't really determine this on his own. He's also at odds with the American military, which continues to rub up against him. I mean, there is a massive conflict between those institutions, between the presidency, the executive branch, and the military coming, and that's something we haven't seen.
Oh, but and it's quite interesting because still we have to say, except for Rubio, that's just a useful idiot. There are some sane voices in the Republican Party, and are they going to really start flexing their muscles now? I doubt it, because they'll be under a lot of pressure. But still, this is hardcore stuff.
I mean, for the president of the United States to issue something so dramatic, where we're turning our back on the last 80 years of history, last 250 years of history, really, when you think about it, it is astonishing. And yet it seems like a desperate thing, and he's gasping for some sort of air here at the end of his legitimacy. He seems to be throwing everything he can at the wall and hoping something sticks.
But I think fundamentally, when I see the debate in Denmark, where lots of commentary goes wrong and so on, it's that whole thought that that Donald Trump is a democratic actor, and he acts like a democratic politician. Fundamentally, he's not. He's an autocrat. He's a dictator wannabe, and this is really the manifest of that. And that's why so many people over the last 10 months have gone wrong, because they've continued to see him as a democratic politician and analyzed him that way. But he's actually more totalitarian in a way, and it doesn't really matter to him.
I think the mask is coming off, don't you, Dean? The mask is coming off.
I mean, let me read you a section. Yeah. Let me read you a section from this. Not just the mask is coming off. This is a declaration, not just of war and subversion, that he's basically telling the EU he's going to meddle the fuck out of the European Union. Like, he's going to stick his giant, tubby, disgusting, pedophile-laden felon fingers into the EU, and he's going to fuck with your governments, and he doesn't give a shit what you say. And I'll tell you what it says. This is maybe the most concerning section. Quote, over the long term, this is more plausible than in a few decades of the latest. Certain NATO members will become majority non-European. So he's leveraging NATO to pull people out of the EU. As such, is an open question as to whether or not they will view their place in the world or their alliance with the United States in the same way as those who signed on to the NATO Charter. Our broad policy for Europe should prioritize. This is where it gets real fucking greasy. Reestablishing conditions of stability within Europe and strategic stability with Russia. Enabling Europe to stand on its own 2 feet and operate as a group of aligned sovereign nations, including taking primary responsibility for its own defense without being dominated by an adversarial power. Well, that kind of cancels out the fucking first one. Yeah, and this is, Europe is currently doing that right now. So he's basically assessing that Europe is just sitting around with their thumbs up their asses, not doing anything, which is completely the opposite. The United States is the country that's not fucking doing anything. He then goes on to say, cultivating resistance to Europe's current trajectory within European nations, opening European markets to U.S. goods. There you go. He wants you to do business with him right now. Opening your part to U.S. goods and to ensure the fair treatment of U.S. workers and businesses. Hello, Greenland. Building up healthy nations of Central, Eastern, and Southern Europe through commercial ties, weapon sales, political collaboration, and cultural and educational exchanges. This is key to one of the 28-point plans with Russia, by the way, cultural exchanges between two countries. Ending the perception and preventing the reality of NATO as a perpetually expanding alliance. So they want to shrink NATO. They basically want to fucking get rid of NATO, encouraging Europe to take action to combat mercantilist overcapacity, technological theft, cyber espionage, and other hostile economic practices. That is the most fucked up shit I have read in a long time, Jacob.
Yeah, you have to wonder. You have to wonder. Did any of those drug boats from the Caribbean slip through? I don't know.
Possible.
And managed to find their way into the noses of the Trump regime.
But the thing is, you know, the way Trump has taken the U.S. for the last 10 months is a violation of everything that NATO stands for. And if there was one country that couldn't get into NATO today, it'd be the US, followed by Hungary. I suppose even Turkey would have a better chance. So it's really crazy.
Now this follows a couple of big things that happened in the last few days. I mean, the Der Spiegel reveal or the leak of Macron's conversation
and
with Zelensky and Maersk, saying, don't trust the United States. It was an indicator that things are beginning to fall apart between in this alliance. What's your take on how that? The Ukraine conversation, the Zelensky conversation, and this broader,
and what does this change in your mind when you talk to your colleagues?
I've criticized that whole approach of trying to, smooth the waters with Trump for a long time. But again, behind that facade that the Europeans have put on, these revelations show that most of the European leaders have understood the realities. For my liking, they haven't done enough. It would have been better to bring it out in the open earlier on. To be able to take those tough decisions that need to be taken. But now with this, first the revelations by Der Spiegel, and now this document, everything is clear. There needs to be a European emergency meeting, and by all means, Mark Carney, if you can come and lecture your European colleagues about how to get tough and find a way, it'll be good.
So Mark Carney is currently in Washington, D.C. for the World Cup draw, and he's got a big smile on his face.
Did he go for that?
Oh, yeah, him and Scheinbaum are there. Yep. And,
oh, dear.
And the U.S. delegation, just a couple of things. There's a statement, and then I got one more question for you, Jacob. Jacob Carsbo, everybody. At Jacob, K-A-R-S-B-O is where you can find him. Daily Intel Report, former Danish intelligence, keeps everybody up to date every single day on what to expect, what's going on, context around intelligence you're not going to get anywhere else when it comes to Trump, Russia, Ukraine, and the EU. So this is right in your wheelhouse. But Mark Carney, to your point, who's just basically said, I don't give a shit, I'm not going to talk to Trump. Trump's team basically said, we're going to talk to Mark Carney on the sidelines of this World Cup draw. It's going to be great. We're going to talk to him on the sidelines. So they asked Mark Carney about it this morning. They're like, you going to talk to Trump? He's like, no, I'm just here for soccer. I'm not talking to him about shit. So, so there's cool. That when you talk about Canadian backbone, and he's played Donald Trump absolutely fucking perfectly. He's not capitulated, not given in, totally knows what we're doing. We did this big deal with the EU. So our security is your security. We're all in this together. That's why Mark Carney did this. He could see the fucking the writing on the wall. But The question I would have for you, are we in Article 5 territory? Because all I read in that document was 33 pages of threats to the EU.
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, because the internal security services need to look at this subversive influence that's bound to come, because there's things of subversive influence all through Europe, and we need to get serious about it, because it's just as subversive from the US now as it is from Russia. So essentially, against our democratic systems, it's the same propaganda nonsense that's coming through the airwaves, and it's the same attempts to subvert electoral systems. And with the reliance that we have on U.S. platforms, on tech, etc., and with all these tech bros that are some of Trump's supporters, it is just a situation that is really, really serious. And the only way we can counter it is by really, cooperating more internally. Whatever's going to happen to NATO, I don't have a clue. But we need a European NATO, with Canada, obviously, and with the UK and Norway, and hopefully
Coalition of the willing.
Trump won't ruin the UK by bringing Reform UK into power.
Really
Because that'd be a disaster as well.
You've got this, expanding authoritarian world. The United States has now joined that authoritarian world, at least from the presidency perspective, and the shrinking democratic world. And the democratic world is really under attack now by a much more dominant authoritarian world. You lump in China, you lump in Russia, you lump in the United States. That's a formidable force to compete against from an ideological perspective. And so you've got, this is coming to a head, really, and we've known it's coming to a head, but it's really moved into a whole new theater, almost a kinetic stage now, as we sort of are aware of everyone's intentions. Everyone's got their masks off, and we're heading into this conflict zone that is really worrying.
Extremely worrying. And even earlier on today, I listened to a lot of US podcasts, etc., also on Ukraine, etc. And you have these really brilliant people, political scientists and defense people, high-ranking former generals, etc. And they've kept like this thought about Trump as someone that could turn rational and strategic, and they haven't seen that what he's doing is really countering democracy instead of countering dictatorships and autocracy. And I hope they'll wake up now with this document and cut the nonsense.
And I agree with you about the tech bros. I think that's a big issue, and they're basically now operating as tools or weapons of a national state influence. I mean, they're operating.
Well, listen, there's something happened yesterday where the EU literally fined Elon Musk and Twitter 120 million euros, and they did it because of his hate speech, meddling with different governments, refusal to take them down, Elon taunting them. Europe has a very, very fucking serious DSA, which is a Digital Services Act, and it basically says, hey, if you're fucking around with democracy in different countries, fucking around with different administrations, if you're putting Nazi bullshit on your platform as a very large open platform, a VLOP, it's actually written in the DSA, Europe's DSA, the EU's DSA. They can take you down. They can literally just shut it off in Europe, and the majority of EU countries would agree to do that at this point. So make no mistake about it, the timing of this letter is very fucking interesting. Very interesting, right?
Can you talk? Anyway, can you that's one question? Can you, if you were talking to Republican senators right now who hold, the real sway now, I think, in terms of what happens next, and we've got an election coming, of course, next November, but so there's a lot that could change then. But right now, Republican senators and those in the House that are thinking about whether they can support this regime going forward, what would your advice to European leaders be in terms of working with Republican senators and representatives to try and shift where we're going as on a foreign policy and in a global policy perspective?
Yeah, I mean, clearly to try to do as much of that as we can, but we shouldn't pin our hopes on it because essentially Trump wants to threaten them and use all his mafia style tactics against them. And as I said, we can talk about midterm elections all that we like, but when you have a president that has tried to make a coup once, why do you believe that he would let a democratic process
Play out
roll
again?
through? So we shouldn't pin our hopes on it. We can, we have to take our precautions. Definitely,
I agree with that. I think the current senators and House representatives are sort of swinging. They're not they're not merged to him anymore. They're sort of in the free agents right now a little bit, and I think they could be very helpful to European nations if they were, if they in terms of just shifting their support. And I mean the military is on the same side as the House.
And I hope it sticks, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I hope it sticks. Wow.
Jacob, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate your expertise as always. Sorry about that, even though I didn't do it.
It's chilling stuff, man.
It really is.
Yeah.
I've not seen a document like this. There hasn't been a document like this in a long time. In 80
ever.
Yeah.
It's unprecedented.
It's nighttime here, so I'll go and have a glass of red wine just to
calm down
my thoughts.
Yeah, do it.
You deserve it.
Okay, we'll check in with you Monday. Intel report on Monday. Are you going to join me? You good? Okay, buddy, we'll do it again. Jacob Carswell, former Danish intelligence.
I'm out for a conference on Monday, actually, a very important security conference here in Copenhagen.
You want to do it Tuesday, and then you can give me the Coles notes
Tuesday,
of the conference?
Tuesday
it is. Okay, pal. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Jacob.
See you then.
Jacob Carswell. Please go follow him. The daily briefing you can get from him, your intel briefing. Everything that goes on in the EU, he makes sense of it for everybody, not just in Europe, but here. Every time he's on the show, it's just a runaway train. Like tens of thousands of people watch that show because he knows what he's fucking talking about. And there's a document that we just talked about. And Jacob, KAARSBO, that's where you can follow him. He's on Substack. Please go. He is absolutely nails, and he gets it right out there. He's buddies with Malcolm Nance. He still connects with all the different ecosystems. He is absolutely unpartisan, hard on the side of democracy, of course, as most progressive, smart individuals are. But how about that national security strategy?
I mean, I've not seen anything like this. I was just, I'm really horrified by what I'm reading. And, does this carry any weight? Does this actually carry through? I don't know if the military is going to consider this a real sort of document, but I got to tell you, there's enough people inside the national, security infrastructure there, the State Department and whatever, that are going to try and make this happen. They're going to do whatever they can to try and go to at least ideological war with Europe, which is what this is suggesting. It's saying we're opposed to the way Europe functions. We're opposed to European-style democracy.
It's a 180.
Yeah.
It's a 180. It's 33 pages of Donald Trump and his regime.
Well, it's Kremlin. It's Putin writing, probably.
No way he wrote this, by the way. He signed it, but there's no way he fucking wrote it. Effectively stating we're switching teams.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other way to read it. This is the written manifestation, declaration that the Trump regime is informing Europe, informing Canada, informing Spain, all of its old allies, Five Eyes, that they're no longer on the side of democracy. They're no longer on the side of their allies. They're on Russia's team. That's what this entire 33-page national security strategy that Donald Trump delivered right before going up to accept and he's on TV right now at the World Cup, and he looks like he's dying. I'm surprised he hasn't fallen fucking asleep already. He's got a peace medal given to him by FIFA. Effectively, he did this right before he went on stage so that no one would fucking pay attention to it. But what this is not just a breakup letter. It's a declaration of war against the EU and the coalition of the willing. It's also a declaration to the rest of the United States that, guess what? We're fucking switching teams. We're now firmly in the axis of evil. Fuck you very much.
And I'm really interested in the connection here, if there is one, between what happened with Witkoff and Kushner with Putin's meeting, the 5-hour meeting that happened last week. how's this playing into that? We know that there was a lot of money discussed in that meeting. We know that Lukoil was desanctioned by Donald Trump just yesterday. Is this just the...
By the way, those sanctions never took place. Like the Lukoil Rosneft sanctions, they never actually were instituted. They just in verbal form, Trump basically said we're going to lift sanctions on Lukoil, which they originally sanctioned. They just didn't say they were going to lift sanctions on Rosneft. It's all words, no works.
So we don't know what the quid pro quo of this deal could be. I mean, this could be what Putin wants Donald Trump to be putting out there in exchange for whatever
happened this week. What happened this week? What happened on Wednesday?
This week, I don't know.
Well, what happened on? I know a lot happened this week. But what happened on Wednesday at the Kremlin?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, what happened there was there a 5-hour business deal that traded lots of money, lots of oil, lots of national Arctic rights, and all these other things in exchange for, hey, give us this national security agreement, this strategy.
This is what happened this week.
Yeah.
That's what happened this week.
It looks like it's one of these rush documents that was put together by Putin's team, handed over to Jared and Witkoff and said, here, go nail this back in Washington and put this out. We'll give you millions and millions of dollars, each of you and the president and everything else, because it's time to go to war with Europe. I mean,
and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I know this is what happened in the Kremlin with Kushner and Witkoff. I'll tell you why I know that they handed Donald Trump this national security strategy, because any major statement that it's over, we're on Team Russia, fuck you. Or peace plan, Ukraine, delete your whole entire fucking effort. All your war dead are done. All the kids that have been kidnapped, all the women and children who've been raped by Russian orcs, don't worry about it. The world would have snapped if he said that. So this is that response instead. This is the beginning of the end of the United States of America if the United States of America does not take the United States of America back. And that's what this is. What better way to force capitulation than to come up with a national security strategy that effectively says we're returning Europe back to the whites and the bohunks and the podunks, and we're going to make it white again. Fuck you for all your immigration. And by the way, go make friends with Russia or else. Like this is 100% Kremlin authored. Zev, you know that.
Yeah.
This is everything they wanted.
This is everything they wanted, and it's also got no teeth. I don't think that there's anything in here that makes me feel like anyone's going to buy it in America. Like, no one institutionally is going to buy this. This is a nice piece of paper that's going to make Putin look happy and give him some domestic, mileage where he can say, hey, look, I got America to capitulate. But is anyone in America actually going to capitulate to this president? I don't think so.
Not anymore.
The Republicans are not buying any of his stuff anymore. The military, as we've seen the last few days, does not look like it's in his territory. American public his polling is catastrophic. This is him just flailing in the wind, trying to get some money from his sponsor as he, or some rescue from his sponsor on his way out. This is not something you do like this. Firstly, it's one of those things, if you're going to really do it, you get your buy-in from all your parties first. You get the military on your side, you'd get the Republican senators.
But keep in mind, that's not how Donald Trump has ever done anything, right? He just makes the statement, says it's done, and then he tries to drag the process along with him. Yeah. But the one problem he's going to have, and the one problem he currently has, is that the military hates him. The United States military absolutely fucking hates Donald Trump. Had a conversation with Ken Harbaugh. I said, can you put a number to the Trumpers in the military who swore an oath to Donald Trump secretly when they swore an oath to the military? He's like 20%. Yeah. It's 80-20 Constitution, 80 to the Constitution, 20% are like, rah, let's go murder some fucking people and run into trouble. Like that's what he said. And he also told me that number is significantly higher. And on the Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, 3%ers recruitment, which is significantly lower, those numbers are so much lower. They're all running into the military, and they're all running into ICE and DHS for these giant jobs, paychecks, et cetera, et cetera. So they're going to have a faction of the U.S. military, and these are all, I'm sure you've got a couple of canaries in the coal mine. I'm sure you got a few, like Dan Kane and Pete Hegseth, and I'm sure there's a couple generals, a couple majors who are like, yeah, I love Jesus and Trump more than I love my oath to the Constitution, because they're full-on warmongers and they're idiots, right? Yeah. I'm sure you've got some of those people in there.
Yeah.
But that number is dwarfed by the amount of military men and women who swore an oath to the fucking Constitution, their sacred fucking oath. And so, his problem is he's going to have a hard time selling this to 80%. And if indeed that happens, I think the first thing that goes is the 100,000, men and women in the military that are currently stationed in the EU. I think that you're going to start seeing EU countries go, well, if we can't trust you, that means we can't trust your military. Get the fuck out of Germany. Get the fuck out of Poland.
Which
get
I
the
don't
fuck
think is a
out
good idea.
of these different countries.
I think what maybe is another way of looking at this in terms of what's going on with the Zelensky piece of this. There's this huge story in the New York Times today about Zelensky's corruption. And targeting what seems to be actually some corruption. I mean, it's not even that you can hide it. There's some corruption inside the Zelensky government, as it always has been in Ukrainian governments, I think, always. But you think about the fact that they're trying to pressure Zelensky. If they can get Europe outside of Zelensky's support base, or some of Europe outside of Zelensky's support base, maybe they think they can absolutely crush Ukrainian resistance, and maybe that's what this is about. By saying, hey, United States is out of here. United States is now in Russia land, where they're not going to back you, Ukraine. It's really up to Europe, and Europe's now saying they're going to go to war with the United States. There's a whole new theater of operation now. Forget it, Ukraine.
Like a leverage document.
Yeah. So I think maybe that's what this is. It could be a diplomatic play. It's certainly chilling. I mean, I hope Europe doesn't overreact.
Certainly fucking white nationalists and fascists.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it is so. Can you imagine any other U.S. president even trying to pull something like this off? Like any other American president ever saying, "Hey, we're just going to quit everything we've been up to for the last 250 years and go, hook, sink, and whatever with
hook, line, and sinker."
Yeah, with our biggest enemies, with Russia, people would be astonished about something like that. The fact that this is happening, and I'm still seeing on TV right now, Trump receives the inaugural FIFA prize. That's their headline. Makes you just like, are you watching the same world that we're watching? Because
that is the ball licking is atomic.
Yeah, that is like what's going on in the world. The world is not.
What's really funny is that you've got these really powerful people like Julian Infantino from FIFA, Tim Cook, Bill Gates, Michael Dell, who gave him $6.85 billion. Who's that?
Michael Ellison.
The Ellison family, Zuckerberg, Musk, who could spend him out of office tomorrow.
Yeah.
The egregious amount of taint huffing and ball licking.
It's gross.
Is one of the things that I hope none of these fucks never outrun. I watched Julian Infantino up there today, oh, you're the best, you're the greatest. I was just watching it, just the World Cup draw. I was just watching it. Donald Trump rambling incoherently. I don't know exactly what he said, but they panned to the crowd and one guy looked at another guy. He's like, what the fuck is he talking about? So I'm waiting to find out. And they're putting on this big show trying to figure out who's going to play who in the World Cup, which in 2026 is going to be in North America, Canada, Mexico, the United States. And Donald Trump has said multiple times, at least a dozen times, if Elon didn't rig the election, I wouldn't have the World Cup and I wouldn't have the fucking Olympics.
I mean, he rigged the election. I think can we talk a little bit about that? I know we have a 5-stack list here. I don't know if we're going to get to all of the stories.
Probably not going to get to any of it now.
But let me just, if I could, try introduce two factors here.
To be fair, the national security strategy document that he put out is worthy of a 5-stack hijacking.
Absolutely. But I think that there's two interesting stories that are sort of attached to it. And one is a story we touched on yesterday about what was going on in Tennessee. What was happened in 2024 at the elections, these mysterious ghost counties that showed up in some of the counting, and there's a question mark, I think, around election integrity that is beginning to bubble up, not only there, but there's this other story that's beginning to bubble up in the world of Epstein around what happened in 2004. What happened with the Kerry Bush election in 2004, and whether that was also linked to some voter manipulation. And, I look at 2024's election as being incredibly suspect. I think that when you look at everything around what Elon Musk did and what capabilities he had and all the, the incredible forewarning and knowledge that he had and the money that he had, I mean, he's funded that whole campaign, basically. you've got to, you got to look at that thing as a really unusual, probably rigged, probably not the result the American people really voted for election. And it's mostly we like to say in America that when the elections are called, it's over, it's done with, we should move on. That isn't actually the case. We have until September to still challenge things. And I think it's time to come clean on some of the fundamental rigging that goes on in American elections everywhere. And I think that some of the stuff that this will hold or is reporting about on the in some smaller states where the counting is weird and ghost counties are being added into some counties. I think there's some value in understanding that all our elections are based on data being shifted from one place to another place, and we accept those results because American TV networks tell us that the data stream that they're getting is accurate. That's how we declare elections. We don't really have another way of declaring them. So, they show up in TV networks, and this stream of data is then manipulated and analyzed, and then they call something because they think that according to their models, they know for certain that these elections have been won by candidate X or candidate Y. I think that is the furthest thing away from accurate as possible, knowing what we know about how data can be manipulated, how these three data streams that show up at TV networks are basically, that's the Wild West and how they get there. These are just, servers that are pinging local polling booths and ballot stations and just getting data and amassing all that data. And some of it is exciting to watch on television as you see it all come down. It may also be incredibly manipulated. And certainly 2024 feels to me like it was incredibly manipulated. Now, what does that mean going forward? I don't know. But what it does means to me is that we need to sort of, as a country, come together with the idea that what this has led us to is an authoritarian government who is about to go to war with Europe. And we need to
and South America.
Yeah. And maybe we need to actually just examine ourselves a little bit and say, maybe the election systems have been rigged for a long time. Maybe they've been rigged for a lot longer than just 2024. Maybe they've been rigged all the way back to 2004, maybe even before that. Maybe there has been a fundamental attempt by governments around the world or other influential forces to really subvert American democracy, which we know was going on. And maybe they were fucking with our elections for a long time. And maybe it's time to really analyze that and understand that. And all of us need to come clean on the fact that maybe we hold offices that, we weren't elected to. Maybe Republicans need to understand that game is over, and they need to start thinking about how they're going to protect the republic from what is coming. Because what is coming is us being on the side of Russia and on the side of China and going to war with Europe. That's what's coming.
One of the things that you bring up some great points that we talked about yesterday in our podcast, the FIVESTACK Live. We had T on from This Will Hold, and that's why we're talking about this. The numbers don't match up. She was talking about fake electorate. They're really starting to run the narrative and own the narrative that is becoming a bigger story than not about what happened in 2024 with these fake counties, banked votes, et cetera, et cetera. Same thing in Tennessee. The numbers just didn't add up. If you had 0.6% of voters in a state that said 148,000 people have voted, you got 0.6 left, and you get 31,000 votes. That's not 0.6 of 148,000 votes, to your point, if you follow me. And listen, I'm not great at math, but I did my very best to explain it like a moron.
You were great yesterday. You got it in no time, and you explained it to all of us really well.
Well, one of the things that like I took away from that wasn't the math and you sort of the bulletproof strategies you had behind proving that there are massive irregularities that people need to look into when it comes to voting. But what I took out of that was how many people like Al Gore back in 2004 and then several other individual races, including in 2024 for the presidential election, how everybody was just like, oh, now we got to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, you don't. You just have to go challenge the process, right? But because Trump owns election rigging and the narrative, nobody wanted to do it. Number one. Number two,
smart.
When I hear people say that, the numbers are fairly bulletproof, which in that, conversation with T from This Will Hold bore out yesterday, I thought to myself, well, why don't you do anything? And they're like, they never do anything effectively because it costs too much money. They don't have that kind of money. It will take years, like 4 or 5 years to litigate this. Then you're into a new round of elections. I had the same thought yesterday in a moment where I'm like, have there ever been any not rigged elections in the United States?
Well, the stuff that's coming up right now around Kerry and the 2004 elections, and involving Wexner and involving the network that gave us Epstein, everything's coming together in this way, Dean. You sort of when you don't, you see when you start seeing a pattern and you start recognizing a pattern, and then you see it all, and then maybe it's the AI that's helping us identify these patterns, but there is such a clear Republican machine that was involved in the Council for National Policy, that was involved in the Iraq War, that was involved in the Bush presidency. We know how Saudis were involved in that a lot. They were involved in, and we spoke about this the other day, about 9/11. It was involved with the collapse of the 2008 economy, that was involved in the defeat of Kerry in 2004, that may have been involved in the defeat of Kamala Harris last year, that was involved in all these things, and it's all the same mushy network that seems to.
Well, and here, let me kind of up the ante too. We live in a very different time than 2024, or sorry, 2004.
Yeah.
21 years later. We have algorithms that pretty much can do anything. We have AI that can do anything. We've got, low orbit satellites that can do anything. We've got oligarchs that have control over fucking all of it. And all of those oligarchs seem to have lined up at the trough to serve Donald Trump. So, because they want the same thing Donald Trump wants. And when everybody's like, is it money? I'm like, no, it's just power, influence. It's fucking super, super simple to understand. There's a reason why Elon Musk spent hundreds of millions of dollars getting Trump reelected, is because he knew he was going to go to jail. And he also wanted ultimate power to control his own fucking destiny.
And for Vladimir Putin, and for the Russian government that has been trying
to do business with anybody, because they're not nationalistic people, dude. They're not fucking patriots. They are kleptocrats. They are oligarchs. They are dictators in their own world, where they get what they want, and the word no does not fucking exist. Elon Musk owns a city. He owns a city called Space City.
Yeah,
that's where all of his baby mamas live, in a compound, in a massive fucking house, a series of houses.
Really?
Oh yeah, dude, you didn't know that? They all live in Space City.
I knew you had a place. I didn't know you had a place called Space City. That's interesting.
He sure does. They just got their own postal code. They've got their own mayor. He owns the fucking city. Yeah, this is the dream for guys like that. Same with Jeff Bezos. This is the dream for guys like Mark Zuckerberg. This is the dream for guys like Donald fucking Trump. Yes,
to build these corporate cities that are run by CEOs that are basically can do whatever they want, and then it's a dystopian nightmare for most of us, but for them, they think it's the way to go. And when there is, by the way, a deadline coming around Epstein that we. These Epstein files have a lot of very important information. This goes way beyond women being sent in as spies or as compromise agents, so you name it. It goes way beyond that. What is really happening here is this is the porthole into this network that has been corrupting America for a very long time. It's the porthole that's been manipulating our elections. That board we saw in Epstein's island the other day? That had that power algorithm, that sort of mind map,
power plant influence,
politics,
intellect,
finance,
physical,
and physics. And this is where he was. This is where he was. This is the influence operation that he was running in order to gain power over the United States. It's not just him. He was a operation for foreign governments, for the KGB most likely, and then into the FSB and the GRU, and for the Israeli right wing through the Israeli military intelligence. This is clearly how they were operating, and the stuff we're finding out about the spy network that existed and all these spies that came in on these visas through the modeling agencies tells us that this was a very sophisticated and broad operation where a lot of people came to America through false means, including people who got these O visas, and Melania Trump is one of those people, and landed up influencing a lot of our very key leaders because they're beautiful people, they're beautiful models, but they're really spies. They were spies, not became. They were brought in as spies, as under the cover of being models. And when you look at that mind map he had, and you understand that that's his path to power, was putting these plants. These plants are not plants, of course, they're spies. They're female spies, putting these plants in people's who are influential, and manipulating those people and developing those people so they serve the Kremlin's interests, and doing the same thing financially, and doing the same thing in all these other things. And that's why there's so many Russian women surrounding all these men, and then collapsing the economy on several occasions, grabbing all the money over and over and over again until the country's at not only financial distress, but they've gained so much control because they've been amassing all this power and all this money that they could do anything that they wanted to, including elect Donald Trump. So that's why Epstein is so integral to understanding how this whole thing worked. And why he's so desperately afraid of it, and why we really need those Epstein files on the 19th.
Yeah. And if on the 19th those Epstein files are what they should be, we don't have to worry about this national security strategy where Trump goes to war with Europe. The whole thing with Canada is a foregone conclusion. Greenland could be Greenland. We go back to a multinational perspective, right? A multilateral perspective, not something that is multipolar, not something that, all the power rests in the hands of very few. This is, every country wants to decide their own fate. And I hope that the Epstein files are what they should be. I also hope that Jack Smith publicly testifies. I also hope that, this whole Pete Hegseth fucking boat murder. And by the way, I don't know if anybody noticed, as Pete Hegseth is currently in major fucking trouble for murdering 80, at the time it was 82 different people in the Caribbean. Someone tweeted, all I want is for Pete Hegseth to murder more people in the Caribbean. And Pete Hegseth replied, "Your wish is my command." And he went and bombed another boat yesterday without telling anybody who or what was in that boat, and then posted the video. I mean, these people are so, they literally thumb their nose at, everything America was. They thumb their nose at democracy. They thumb their nose at decency. They literally take a dump on the idea that the truth is really important to the people that elected them, that put them in office, right? And that's really the sad part here, among other things. I mean, we're talking about the death of the United States in that document, but we've seen the progressive death of what the United States was supposed to be for some time now under the Trump regime. Yeah. So, the national security strategy that we originally talked about, and thanks to Jacob from the Danish intelligence services, and of course the UN Security Council for joining us just a few minutes ago.
Hey, look who's here. Look who's joined us.
Who's that?
Hello,
we got a Parnas? Yeah. We got a Parnas?
We got a Parnas sighting.
Lev Parnas, it's the Lev and Zev show with Dean. Hey, buddy.
You're in a Lev and Zev sandwich right now, Dean Bundell.
Hey, good.
Your dream come true.
Lev and
Zev. Sorry, we're just fucking shocked, gobsmacked at this national security strategy document. Have you had a look at it? What do you think?
I didn't get a chance to see it yet. I was going, actually, I was breaking this news about the lifting of the sanctions on Lukoil and some of the other stuff.
And do people want another example of why Donald Trump is firmly not on your team? Because that happened today too. Lukoil, those sanctions were lifted, right?
Yeah, that was yesterday even, actually. I mean, literally before the Ukrainians even came in to meet with at what was that, Florida? What, you guys see me? I think I lost.
Oh yeah, we can see you. You look great.
See you, but I don't know if it's coming out on your feed though, because we aren't pre-planned into this. So
you've never looked sexier, dude.
Yeah, I love you, dude. Yeah, so no, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. But
so
one of my subscribers.
What happened to the Lukoil? What's actually this? We had this week at Jared and Witkoff with Putin for 5 hours. What do you think happened right after that?
Well, I know exactly what happened through the whole thing. I mean, I could give you guys a play-by-play if you want.
Yeah,
Actually, I
yeah, yeah.
mean, I've been reporting on it the past couple of days. So, what's it called? Kirill Dmitriev met Kushner and Witkoff at the airport. They got in the car together on the way while they were traveling. Uh, Kushner was getting basically a lesson from at the time Kirill Dmitriev of how to speak to Putin, what the conversation, how it's going to go, because primarily what the conversation, most of out of the 5 hours, 3 hours was spent on talking about business, and that's where Witkoff, Kushner, and Dmitry Kirillov comes in. Dmitry Kirillov comes in. Kirill Dmitriev. I'm sorry, I'm already like comes in into the play. So he was basically telling him Kushner, and I preference Kushner now Witkoff, because Witkoff, this is already his seventh time going to the Kremlin, so he's already part of like the family. He's I think getting a Russian passport if he doesn't
Crazy.
have one already. Then at the same time, this was all pre-planned. Putin went out on and made a statement on national television, Russian TV, talking about how the Europeans, I'm sorry, that are there, it's their fault that they are basically breaking. How do you put it? They're getting involved in the talks between America and Russia. They're trying to disturb the conversations. This is right before he was supposed to meet with Kushner and them. So at the same time, Dmitriev took them to a Michelin star Russian restaurant where they had caviar, champagne, and other hors d'oeuvres. After that, they took Kushner to the GUM, which is a underground, biggest in Russia, underground, like a department store. It's really tremendous. It's an incredible, huge project. They took him down there to walk him around the Red Square,
Mm.
and then finally they went in to meet up with Putin. When they met up with Putin, after the cameras left, basically Putin went into like an hour and a half. I'm told history lesson, telling which what's his name Witkov heard probably 2 3 times already, but for Kushner it was a new lesson about Russian history and how Ukraine is part of Russia and how this is all baseless because trying to lay out the groundwork. Then they spend about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, basically about talking about the peace plan, which, well, it's not even called a peace plan because the person that uh, put that document together with the Ukrainians was Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio was nowhere near Moscow. He was sitting in the Oval talking about Witkoff. So the guy that really negotiated the plan wasn't even there because they knew already ahead of time that it wasn't about peace. Spent about 20 minutes talking about how Putin is not going to accept any of that he's going to take. He gave Kushner and Witkoff a final saying that he's going to take Donbass one way or the other, even if it takes military action or not. Right after that, basically the next, I'd say about 2.5, 3 hours was spent strictly on talking. And I even made some notes. I actually wrote about it. If you guys haven't, you make sure you go out. I wrote about it. It's the letter. Where is it? I got so much. The backdoor deal. Oh no, this is it.
Lev remembers. This is a great.
Yeah,
You did a great write up there. I can't believe your sources. I can't believe how good you are at
Trump's
finding
backdoor
out.
Ukraine deal leaves abducted kids to rot in
yeah.
North Korea and
No,
re-education camps. Is
no,
that
that was
one?
right before that. No, right before that. Well, that's actually the one you definitely got. Kushner's Moscow peace trip, which was really a business deal. So what my sources tell me that what was discussed were the four main points that were discussed was energy and Nord Stream 2. So the logic behind that is how to restore, reinvent Moscow's energy chokehold on Europe through new routes. They discussed about how Trump supporters, Trump loyalists, and billionaires and donors would participate, setting up shell companies, joint ventures, In the meantime, Trump was basically going to sell it back here, like, this is a great, deal, more money for the United States, basically, and stuff like that. Then they spoke about the critical minerals and also the rebuilding contracts, which was basically how to carve up Ukraine's resources, and they spoke about reconstruction, like real estate projects, and discuss how Russian oligarchs with American oligarchs and real estate magnates and energy, they are going to be part of the reconstruction and part of splitting up the pie, of all those deals. They also spoke about sanctions, which you could see right away. We already have breaking news today that some of the sanctions have been lifted already. Definitely talked about the economic relief and give what more Western access to Putin. And you saw that by Putin traveling to India, basically putting the middle finger to Trump and saying, India is going to continue buying oil. He also mentioned that we currently buy energy, uranium from Russia, and put a twist. And you see, as you could see, Trump's not responding, and the reason why Trump's not responding and allowing him to do it is not only because of the business deals that we spoke about, but because this all leads to the Epstein files, which we could touch on in a second. But one thing that really that they spoke about that really got was interesting, and I think that we is a topic we could talk about, is how they wanted to intertwine the Russian oligarch investments into the United States. So they were talking about how Kremlin-linked money can quietly flow into the U.S. real estate, energy, strategic projects through cutout partners, buying influence, basically embedding Moscow interests deep inside our own economy here, because they're already connected to the tech pros. They're already, have their money, in all the startups and all of these AI and the crypto, which we don't even talk about. But now it's more of like, real estate projects, energy deals, coal companies, LNG plants that are being built. As you could see, that he already is allowing the Qataris, and he's allowing, other, governments to be able to come and use our country as, military bases and so on and so on. Now, as I've been reporting, the play is now to integrate the Russian and oligarchy and Kremlin money into the United States also.
Wow, it's a whole takeover. And then on the heels of that, there's this thing that Dean has just brought to light before the start of the show, and then we had Jacob Carsbo on earlier talking about the strategic review.
Yeah, the national security strategy going forward is go make friends with Russia or else, because we're effectively switching teams. Like that's what the national review said. It was, if you haven't read it yet, Lev,
yeah.
I would encourage you. I'll send it to you.
Send it to me. Yeah.
It's truly one of the most stunning documents. It's effectively a declaration of war against democratic EU countries, telling them that their problem is that they need to embrace far right parties. They need to embrace nationalism. They need to embrace native citizens of their own country. Fuck migrants. Get rid of everybody and go make friends with Russia, because now the United States of America is effectively switching teams, and it's up to you to fend for yourselves or make friends with Russia. Is effectively the draw out from that entire document, which fits perfectly into 2 days after a meeting with Putin, Dmitriev, and Kushner and Witkoff. It fits perfectly into the narrative that you just described, which is, hey, we're going to carve up that whole fucking place. We're going to be able to do that because we're now switching teams, and fuck you, we need to make Europe white again. Is effectively the tenet of the document.
I mean, it's even deeper than that, probably. I mean, if you look into, it's basically dissecting the whole world. That's what they're planning on doing. This is part of the game plan. This is part of what they've been doing all along. That's why you see, him distancing himself more from our allies, and continuously, being close to not only Putin, to, other dictators around the world. You know what I'm saying to you? So this doesn't surprise me. This, I've been, honestly, talking about this, as I say, from I came here on Substack 7 months ago, and literally probably my first or second letter that I wrote on Substack, if you go back and look at it, was the connection between Kirill Dmitriev, Stephen Witkoff, and Jared Kushner, going back and keep talking about, because this was always part of the plan. So this does not surprise me. In October, when Dmitriev was over here, this was also, as spoke, not only did he bring Compromat on Yermak and others, not only did he bring the 28-point surrender plan, but also part of that was, again, normalization. All of this, Trump's allowing Putin to come and rolling out the red carpet to him, and then having Putin go to China, where all of them are hugging, kissing the red carpet. Now you have Putin coming to India. And by the way, I just want to also make it very clear, this is not the real Putin traveling all over these places. If
Yeah.
anybody wants to really take a look and just compare even just those three Putins, the one that went to China, the one that went to India, the one that went to Alaska, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. You'll start understanding. You'll see it. It's like playing the game, where they have matched the differences. It's
Yeah.
like incredible. I'm saying to you. So let's start off with that. But the fact that he is now, we need to understand what Donald Trump had, and Kushner and Witkoff, and this past 10 months, as we've been pouring, what has transpired. They have basically have put Putin back from being a war criminal that is hiding, that is scared to leave Russia, that is condemned by the whole world, to now traveling, laughing, being accepted, red carpets, not only in the United States, all over the world, and being accepted. And now you have this push of this right wing agenda, which again, this is part of Project 2025. Doesn't surprise me, because this is all still part of the same thing. And it all, at the end of the day, we're going to see that, you're going to see the tie that links a lot of this thing together is what's in those Epstein files, if we ever really get a chance to see them, that if they don't get scrubbed to the point. I know a lot of people say we have forensics, we have this. Folks, right now they control everything, and with the technology, the AI, with Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and the brains that they have going on there, I don't know. So I'm not technology inclined to know if they're, but the only faith I have is that there's a lot of eyes that seen it. There's a lot of people that, and maybe are scared to come out now, and usually, but eventually will come out, because I think there's that is the link to the cabal that is holding a lot of this going together, and what we're seeing play out all over the world, from the Middle East to Eastern Europe to here at home.
It's so fascinating to hear you describe it like that, because it is actually feels like this is a quid pro quo, what we're seeing with the strategic document here. You're describing the meeting that you had the other day, and then just after that, we have this incredibly important divorce document, basically between the United States and Europe, where they're describing things that could only have emerged out of that meeting with Putin. Things like reestablishing conditions of stability within Europe and strategic stability with Russia,
I
enabling
mean, look
Europe
at
to.
right, look at that first that's his first sentence,
Yeah,
right? So just read it again. Reestablish conditions stability within Europe and strategic stability with Russia.
exactly. It's
Why?
exactly a response to the meeting that you were just describing. It sounds like it is the quid pro quo that we've all been talking about, enabling Europe to stand on its own two feet and operate as a group of aligned sovereign nations, including by taking primary responsibility for its own defense. Interesting, not NATO, without being dominated by any adversarial power. Now, who's the adversarial power? Who's he talking to about? The United States? Is he talking about Russia?
Well, I don't. That's the thing, right? Like, not only is this is it ambiguous, but it's a breakup letter and a declaration of war against democratic EU countries. But the way I read that, and Zev weigh in, the way I read that, it's we're not fucking. We want nothing to do with NATO anymore either.
Oh well,
Certainly.
that's no, of course. Well, that's part of the plan, guys. I mean, don't. I mean, this shouldn't shock anybody that's been following any of us for the past 7 months. I mean, that's part of the plan, is to distance themselves from NATO, distance themselves from the allies. Keep pushing. I mean, everything they've done. If you see, since he's come into office, from the way Vance, from even the way Rubio and all of them, the policy, the rhetoric, the conversation, it's all about the same thing, and simultaneously normalizing Russian relationship. I mean, folks, you don't have to go too far. I beg of each and every one of you, go to Kirill Dmitriev, go to his X or whatever, not Instagram, but X.
X account. Yeah. He says it all right there. Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm begging you, if you take a look at the way what he puts out there and the way I mean, you don't have to be a rocketer. You see, he can't keep it in his pants, the way he lays out what's happening in the relationship, and that's the key players involved. So look, the only way we're going to be able to stop this, because they're very deep, they're moving forward. The only way we're going to stop this is what we're doing. We need to make sure we build our communities. We need to make sure that everybody out there goes out there and subscribes to Zev, to Dean, to myself, cross pollinate, make sure go out, spread the message is very important. Like for those of you that joined late, for those I know, you see we're jumping on each other's sites right now, because it's not about a show, folks. We're not here where this is unscripted, unprepared. This is live, raw, and you're getting information that none of the media is talking about. So make sure you take it and you pass it around. That's the number one thing, because we got to build strong. Information is key. The way they try to brainwash us is by limiting us from getting information. And that's what we are here out to do, is by giving you information. Those of you that can go the extra mile and become paid subscribers, guys, we don't have corporate sponsors. We don't have the Elon Musk. We don't have any of that supporting this. We have each and every one of you. And that's why we're doing this, not only to save our democracy, but because of your help to be able to fund this. And the one other thing I'm going to ask of you before I go, because I know you guys are cutting off soon, is we have a GoFundMe set up. I'm going to put it up here. I don't know if you guys could spread it around. I have some good news I wanted to share with you. There's a group that we're probably going to retain after Monday or Tuesday to prepare to go on our mission. The good news is the original GoFundMe, we were raising about $500,000. We're not going to need that much, not even close to that much, because this group is going to put together their own fundraisers and all of their own system in place. But we are going to need a lot more than what we have in the kitty right now. So I need everybody, I hate to beg and ask and talk, but this is for each and every one of you. This is not for me to go buy a car or to go on a vacation. This is for us to go out there and try to save our democracy, to be able to establish and put a team together. Also, I want to put out there the website, not website, email, levpttp.proton.me. That's levpttp.proton.me. I want you to make sure each and every one of you who wants to, that can contribute or have contributed and wants to go that more and asking what can we do. This is a volunteer hotline. This is because besides the professionals that we're going to go out and hire to be able to do the professional stuff, we're also building a grassroots movement, which means it could, all of you volunteers, all of you that have information to come in to be able to help this movement and moving. So again, make sure if you can, go to the GoFundMe. Make sure if you want to volunteer, lovepttp.proton.me. For the next month, we're going to be, that's the number one thing, is just putting the team together.
You cut off there a little bit, Lev. I'm not sure what happened there, but you can hear you right now. But we'll get that GoFundMe address to everybody, and we'll share your email in the link below. Dean, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm right here. I just can't hear Lev either.
Okay.
Unfortunately, which is really sad, because what I love is at the end of my day is hearing his voice.
I know he's got a great voice, and he's also, I have to say, that timeline he gave us inside the Kremlin.
Oh, he's bang on, dude. I mean, like that's the thing about Lev, and he can't hear us. But I'll tell you this about the one thing about Lev, he doesn't fucking lie.
No.
He gives you the receipts. He's got his sources, and he lives it. And he's not afraid to live it, which is absolutely fucking incredible, because I would be absolutely petrified to do what he's doing. Puts his life on the line. Go into the chat. Go and donate to his mission. His mission is to go rattle some cages, build a bigger team, build a bigger boat. His GoFundMe's in there. Lev PTTP at Proton. Make sure you go and send him an email if you want to volunteer. He might be coming to your state. I know he's doing Washington, North Carolina. I know he's doing Florida, and I know he's going to take the fight to these guys. But to your point, yeah, I mean, like, how do you look at not everything that's going on in Ukraine after we saw that document, after this conversation, after listening to Lev, and not go, Vladimir Putin is 100% in control of this entire fucking process, and Donald Trump is his fucking dog.
And what we saw today was this narrative building in real time. You saw it here live as we were on the air. You know, Dean brought us the story of the strategic document. Jacob jumped on, gave us some really important context about what it means to Europe and what its understanding around Europe is. Then you got Lev jumping on and talking about the quid pro quo that appears to have happened this week. That is all happening in real time, live here, and not on any other network that I'm seeing on TV at the moment. This is the thing that you get with all this incredible independent journalism that is happening right here. And deanblundell.substack.com is where you have to go right now, because that is where you can read this very strategic document. Dean's got a great piece in it, and there's also a link to the strategic document in there. Read it and make sure that everyone understands what's going on here. This is a massive geopolitical shift that Donald Trump is doing in order to make money, in order to gain assets, to gain resources, to basically build up Vladimir Putin's war chest. And he's really saying he's going to war with Europe and European values and European democracy. So please check out deanblundell.substack.com. Subscribe, give him a paid subscription. He absolutely deserves it. Works really hard and brings you the biggest news first, faster than any other network I've seen today. That's for sure.
Yeah, we broke some news today, and make sure you go and follow Zev Shalev too. He is one of the best investigative reporters on the planet. Narrative.org is where you're going to find him over at Substack, and you have to understand what's at play here. If you go through his Greatest Heist series, you become a paid sub. You can read the entire series. It's a book. Book 1 is out. He's on chapter 4 or 5 this weekend. You got chapter 5 coming
trying
up.
to get chapter 5 finished, but there is actually stuff that's developing, percolating right now that about these elections in 2004 that are all just happening at exactly the same time that I'm covering in the book. So I'm gonna dig into some of that. I'm not sure when I'm gonna get it done, but it's a massive chapter and there's a lot going on. I wanted to expose what was going on Epstein Island and the modeling agencies and all of that. That's just fascinating on its own. But now it's got this other geopolitical thing that's just bubbled on top of it. So we'll get to something this weekend or Monday. Whenever it's finished, it'll be out. But I gotta run, and you gotta.
You gotta run. I gotta run. Everybody's gotta run. You out there have to run. Sorry about the change in time. This will be posted a little later on today. Thank you for spending a minute with us. We got about 1,500 people here between both of our accounts, which means it is once again very well attended because you need information. We need affirmation. We are you. We do this for you. You give us your time. You give us your email addresses. You trust us with your brains. You trust us with your money. You trust us with your information. That is why we're here. 25% off annual subscriptions, deanblundell.com. You can go check that out now. Get a founder's membership. You never pay again. Go and join Zev Shalev's resistance over at narrative.org. Get informed. Knowledge is power, and that's why we're here. So if we can impart some on you, you feel better about your day, and it pleases us to no end that you come here and you trust us with your mind. So thank you all for joining the 5-Stack on a Friday. I know it's early. We'll be back on Monday. Have an absolutely glorious weekend. Thanks, buddy. We'll see you on Monday.
Have a great weekend. Bye, everybody. We gotta go.